Hi all, welcome to Teacher Naring's channel. Okay, Simply Biology. Okay, pada hari ini kita bertemu kembali dalam video cikgu yang akan menerangkan bagaimana nak tulis operational definition part B, dan juga cikgu sisipkan sekali bahagian hubungan, sebab cikgu lihat ramai belajar yang tidak tahu menulis jawapan untuk soalan hubungan. Mereka tahu tetapi tidak lengkap. Jadi untuk menerangkan lebih, cikgu buat video ini. So dalam video ini kita akan lihat cara menjawab operational definition and also soalan hubungan, iaitu soalan yang ditanya selepas kita dah buat jadual and graph. So berbanding kepada graph. Okay, alright. So kalau kita lihat di sini untuk operational definition, seperti biasa, this is just ulang kaji. You define the term based on the experiment. Okay, and then what you're supposed to do is you take into account your manipulated variable and also your responding variable. Okay, let's see how we're supposed to write down operational definitions. The term we are defining, we write it in front. That is, how do we explain what you are using in this experiment, what you are doing in this experiment, to what you are doing it, and what is happening in this experiment. It must be specific to this experiment only. That's why it's called as operational definition in this experiment, what you're operating with. Alright? Okay, the next point, it is shown by, or measured by, or determined by your responding variable. And finally, it is affected by your manipulated variable. Okay, in Malay, apa yang berlaku, bahan yang digunakan spesifik kepada eksperimen ini ditunjukkan oleh, merujuk ataupun ditentukan oleh, dan ia adalah dipengaruhi oleh manipulated variable. Alright, okay. Okay, ini adalah contoh soalan pertama yang kita akan bincang hari ini, iaitu soalan yang berkaitan dengan osmosis, di mana membran plasma adalah membran separuh telap. Kita baca soalan dia yang mengawal atur pergerakan bahan keluar dan masuk. Okey, sekumpulan murid menjalankan eksperimen untuk mengkaji. So kalau boleh kita terus highlightkan benda-benda yang penting di sini. Okey, kita terus highlightkan untuk mengkaji. Nak mengkaji apa? Kadar pergerakan bahan merentasi satu tube whisking separuh telap. Okay, tube whisking ini mengandungi isoling. So kita lihat mana isoling. So ini adalah isoling dalam tube whisking. Alright, dan ini direndam dalam larutan sukrosa yang berbeza kepekatan. So ini adalah larutan sukrosa di luar. Okay, selama 20 minit. Okey, seterusnya Raja menunjukkan susunan radar. So ini adalah susunan radar. Kita lihat seterusnya, ini adalah jadual yang diberikan. So dalam jadual ini dia telah berikan kepekatan larutan sukrosa and jarak pergerakan isoling dari X ke Y dalam tube whisking. Jadi kalau kita ambil daripada jadual ini pun, kita boleh terus highlightkan yang manakah MV dan yang manakah RV, seperti yang saya tunjukkan dalam video saya yang awal. Ini adalah ruangan pertama ataupun kepekatan yang kita berikan, itu adalah OMV, okay, operating manipulated variable, dan ini keseluruhannya iaitu jarak pergerakan isoling dari X ke Y, itu adalah ORV, operating responding variable. So ingat kedua-duanya. Okay. Okey, kita lihat cara nak menjawab soalan operational definition. Ini adalah soalan yang berkaitan dengan diffusion. Okey, itulah yang diminta kita definekan. So diffusion is what now? So let's look at this. Diffusion is a process of, kalau nak tulis process of boleh, tak nak tulis perkataan process of pun tak apa. Diffusion is a process of water molecules moving out from the whisking tubing into sucrose solution. Sebab tadi kita lihat whisking tubing tu berisi dengan air, bika tu berisi dengan larutan sukrosa. So water molecule is moving out from whisking tubing into sucrose solution. Okay, one more thing you have to remember is, bila kita menulis tentang pergerakan air, you must always remember you must have the word water molecules. Okay, moving out. Okay, next one. Let's carry on to the next one. Okay, seterusnya kita akan lihat apakah yang berlaku di sini. Untuk point kedua, it is determined by the distance from X to Y in the capillary tube. Okay, itu adalah MV. It is determined, can be determined by the distance from X to Y in the capillary tube. And finally, it is affected by ataupun dipengaruhi oleh. Okay, kita lihat di sini dipengaruhi oleh apa. Okay, diffusion is influenced by or affected by the concentration of sucrose solution. Okay, okay, in BM, okay, kita akan lihat dalam BM. Okay, resapan ialah proses pergerakan molekul air keluar dari tube whisking ke dalam larutan sukrosa dalam bikar. Alright, sebab sama macam BI tadi. Air bergerak keluar daripada tube whisking. Again, molekul air, jangan lupa perkataan molekul air. Okay. Ini boleh ditunjukkan, tentukan dari jarak air suling dari X ke Y dalam tube capillary. That is your responding variable daripada jadual kita tadi. Dan seterusnya, ia adalah dipengaruhi, resapan dipengaruhi oleh kepekatan larutan sukrosa. Jadi untuk soalan hubungan ataupun relationship, seperti yang saya kata soalan yang selepas, kita dah buat graf, kita kena berikan relationship ataupun hubungan. Jadi macam mana nak jawab soalan dia? Senang sahaja. Selalunya kita kena berikan, contohnya kita baca soalan ni dahulu. Based on the graph, explain the relationship between the rate of water diffusion out of the whisking tubing and the concentration of sucrose solution. Jadi untuk jawab soalan sebegini, apa yang patut kita buat adalah kamu sepatutnya menggunakan perkataan yang dia tanya dalam soalan relationship ini. Kalau macam soalan ini dia tanya explain the relationship between the rate of water diffusion, so please circle it, the rate of water diffusion out of the whisking tubing, circle it as 1, and the concentration of sucrose solution, circle another one. So these two terms must be in the first part of your answer to give you 1 mark for a relationship. This must be there. Okay, so tak boleh gunakan perkataan lain, kita mesti gunakan perkataan ini. So untuk jawab soalan ini, berdasarkan graf yang kita dah lukis, kita akan lihat the higher the concentration of sucrose solution, the higher the rate of water diffusion out from the whisking tubing. Okay, so this is giving us the relationship, that is when the concentration of sucrose solution is higher, the rate of water diffusion is also higher. Ini kita dapat berpandukan kepada graf. Okay, ini baru poin pertama. Okay, untuk poin kedua, kita akan lihat di sini. Okay, poin pertama E1, sucrose solution is more wide. Now we are supposed to explain why this thing happen. Why when the concentration of sucrose solution is higher, the diffusion rate is also higher. So our explanation for the first part, for E1, explanation is why, because this is secara teori, secara scientific. Okay, secara teori kita katakan kenapa bergerak macam tu, sebab sucrose solution is more hypertonic. Okay, more hypertonic ataupun more concentrated boleh than distilled water in the whisking tubing. So kita dah terangkan kenapa benda tu berlaku, sebab sucrose solution adalah hypertonic, sebab tu air bergerak keluar. Okay, kita lihat yang seterusnya, point seterusnya. Okay, point seterusnya, you see that there is a higher osmotic pressure gradient. So if there's a higher osmotic pressure gradient, meaning that more water, easier for the water to move out. So the last point for E3, you can say that more water diffuses out by osmosis. Itu adalah soalan, cara nak jawab soalan relationship. So ingat, untuk soalan relationship, guna pakai perkataan yang ditanya dalam soalan. Jangan gunakan perkataan lain walaupun they mean the same. Alright, okay, so kita lihat untuk BM pula. Cara nak jawab dalam BM, semakin tinggi kepekatan larutan sukrosa, semakin tinggi kadar resapan air keluar daripada tube whisking. Okay, poin pertama. Poin kedua, larutan sukrosa ialah hypertonic ataupun lebih pekat berbanding air suling dalam tube whisking adalah lebih baik. Kalau kita katakan ia adalah hypertonic, kita kena bandingkan dia. So you must always mention dibandingkan dengan siapa, dibandingkan dengan apa, dibandingkan dengan air suling di mana, dalam tube whisking. Oleh itu, lebih banyak molekul air meresap keluar secara osmosis dari tube whisking ke dalam bigar. Okey. Okey, itu adalah soalan satu. Kita lihat kepada soalan dua, contoh soalan dua. Ini adalah soalan vitamin C di mana eksperimen ini, okay, this is an experiment for vitamin C. Kita lihat di sini kebanyakan buah mengandungi asid ascorbic yang dikenali sebagai vitamin C. Vitamin C merupakan ejen penurunan yang kuat. In English, vitamin C is a strong reducing agent for DCPIP. This is an experiment to determine the concentration of vitamin C in fruit juices. So ini adalah eksperimen untuk menentukan kepekatan vitamin C dalam jus buah menggunakan larutan DCPIP. So kita nak menentukan apa? Menentukan kepekatan vitamin C dalam apa? Dalam jus buah. So you can highlight and write down here. Okay, benda yang kamu nak tentukan itu adalah RV dan jus buah kita adalah MV. So you can already determine which is your MV, which is your RV supaya senang untuk kita buat. Kita lihat gambar rajah ini. Okay, kita lihat cara kita nak buat eksperimen. So, untuk soalan 1, step 1, kita dah masukkan 1 ml DCPIP 0.1% ke dalam bika. And then untuk step 2, kita masukkan acid ascorbic 5 ml 0.1% acid ascorbic ke dalam syringe dalam picagari. Okay, and then apa yang kita nak buat adalah, what we're going to do is that we're going to add this 0.1% of ascorbic acid drop by drop until the solution becomes colorless. Okay, we're supposed to record the volume of acid ascorbic used to make it colorless, and finally kita akan ubah ataupun you do another experiment. You repeat the steps by using papaya juice. So now we put papaya juice or guava juice and mango juice into the syringe and then drop it, and then we see how much of volume of papaya juice is needed, guava juice is needed, and mango juice is needed. Okay, alright. This is the results where you're supposed to write down here. So your type of solution ataupun fruit juice boleh di-highlightkan terus, and tulis ini adalah MV ataupun operating manipulated variable, and your volume of fruit juice to decolorize 1 ml of 0.1% of DCPIP solution. This is your operating responding variable, or what we call as our ORV. This is where you're going to write your results. So lihat di sini volume dia dan tuliskan di sini. Okey, seterusnya kita lihat. Okay, ini adalah cara bagaimana kita nak tulis operational definition for vitamin C. So vitamin C is ascorbic acid in papaya juice. Remember what is vitamin C? Vitamin C is ascorbic acid. Ini diberikan daripada soalan. So sometimes untuk operational definition, if you are lucky, you can get the statement of the theory from the question itself. So usually you can get a clue. At least one point you can get it from there. Just now in the statement, they have told us that ascorbic acid, vitamin C is ascorbic acid. So we write it down. Vitamin C is ascorbic acid, and this ascorbic acid is in what? So what are we using? We are using papaya juice, guava juice, mango juice, or type of fruit juices pun boleh. Terus dah dapat 1 point. Okay, this is shown by, what is it shown by? The volume of papaya juice or guava juice or mango juice or the type of fruit juice boleh used to decolorize DCPIP. You get a 2nd point. And your 3rd point, the concentration or the content of vitamin C is affected by different types of fruit juices. See how simple it is if you break it up. So learn how to break it up. Okay. Untuk BM, vitamin C adalah asid ascorbic dalam jus buah, betik, jambu batu and mangga yang ditunjukkan oleh isi padu jus buah yang melunturkan warna 1 ml, larutan DCPIP 0.1%, dan kepekatan kandungan vitamin C dipengaruhi oleh jenis jus buah yang berbeza. Alright. Okay, kita lihat soalan hubungan. Macam mana nak berikan soalan hubungan? So untuk soalan hubungan, based on the graph, explain the relationship between concentration of vitamin C. So in our answer, we are supposed to have the word concentration of vitamin C, and we are supposed to have the different types of fruit juices for first point. So your first point for relationship, from the graph, you will see that untuk guava juice daripada graph, kita akan dapat, kalau kita jawab soalan ini daripada graph, kita akan dapat guava juice has the highest vitamin C concentration. So we write that down. Guava juice has a higher concentration of vitamin C. You see the word concentration of vitamin C telah terjawab, telah tertulis di sini. This point is here, and we are also talking about guava juice. The different types of fruit juices pun telah diberikan di sini. Guava juice has a higher concentration of vitamin C compared to papaya juice or mango juice. Okay, if you want to say guava juice has the highest concentration of vitamin C pun boleh, doesn't matter. Okay, so the second point, your explanation, guava juice has the most ascorbic acid. We are explaining why. Why has it got higher concentration? Because it has got the most ascorbic acid, and it needs the least volume to decolorize DCPIP solution. Okay, so in BM, jus jambu batu mempunyai kepekatan vitamin C paling tinggi berbanding dengan jus betik dan jus mangga, 1 point. Point kedua, jus jambu batu mempunyai paling banyak ascorbic acid. Explanation dia why, and then memerlukan isi padu paling sedikit untuk melunturkan warna larutan DCPIP. Okay, hopefully you understand. Okay, ini adalah contoh yang ketiga. Okay, contoh yang ketiga adalah contoh yang menentukan resapan. Okay, as you can see here, diffusion is a movement process of substances from the external surrounding of an organism that occurs through the plasma membrane to fulfill the organism's basic needs. And then the rate of diffusion depends on the surface area and volume of the cell. And as you can see, this shows 4 pink agar cubes. These are 4 pink agar cubes of different sizes. You can see here, this is 5 mm, this is 10 mm, 15 mm, and 20 mm. These are the pink agar cubes. And what is happening here is that they are labeled as JKLM. We are going to study the effect of total surface area per volume ratio on the rate of diffusion. So we're going to study this on the rate of diffusion. Okay, get an idea of what's happening. Okay, let's carry on to the next part. So inside here, we took this cube and we have immersed it in a beaker. In this beaker, you have got acid hydrochloric acid. You start the stopwatch and then you take the time until this tube J becomes colorless. So acid hydrochloric is actually going to diffuse into the cube. Acid hydrochloric ini akan meresap ke dalam cube dan menjadikan cube ini tidak berwarna. So after you have got your results, you continue repeating the steps by using the different agar cubes. Alright, let's see what else we have here. So this is the table which you are given. So again here, if you see here your tube agars, this can be your operating manipulated variable, or you want to be more specific, boleh total surface area per volume ratio. This is your OMV. And what is your ORV? The time taken ataupun masa yang diambil untuk cube agar menjadi tidak berwarna. Alright, finally we look at our operational definition. What's our operational definition? The rate of diffusion. So in this question they asked you for the rate of diffusion. The rate of diffusion is the process of movement of hydrochloric acid, because that's what is happening. Hydrochloric acid is moving from the beaker into the cube, into the agar cube per time or minute, because we are checking the time or the minute. So you explain whatever is happening in the experiment. It's very simple. For your second point, we are supposed to say it is determined by the time taken for agar cube to become colorless. Where do you get the second point from? From the table. Just copy the whole heading of the operating responding variable. And finally, it is affected by, okay, let's see, the rate of diffusion is affected by the ratio of TSA over V, or the size of agar cube. Okay. In BM, okay, let's read the BM version. Kadar resapan adalah satu proses pergerakan molekul asid hidroklorik ke dalam cube agar yang ini boleh ditentukan oleh masa yang diambil oleh cube agar untuk menjadi tidak berwarna. Dan finally, kadar resapan dipengaruhi oleh JLP per I. Okay. So untuk soalan hubungan, relationship, by the way, this is a 2019 SPM question, alright, which is last year's SPM question. So based on the graph, state the relationship between, again, follow whatever they ask you, the rate of diffusion. So this word must be in your answer, and the ratio of the TSA over V. Okay, so we see here, the bigger the ratio of the TSA over V, the higher the rate of diffusion. This is what we got from our graph. So now we explain why. Because as the size or the length or the volume of the agar cube decreases, okay, or we can also say the distance from the surface to the center of the cube is shorter. Okay, that means daripada luar pergerakannya ke dalam, jaraknya semakin singkat, semakin pendek. The rate of diffusion of hydrochloric acid is low. Okay, and the time taken for the agar cube to become colorless is shorter. These are the explanations, or you can say the time taken for acid hydrochloric molecules to reach the center of the cube is faster. Okay, all this happens when the size decreases. So we are actually explaining when the size decreases, this is actually happening. So selalunya untuk 3 point, kamu selalunya di sini kalau kita lihat ada 4 point. R ini penting, R mesti diberitahu, R mesti ditulis, your relationship must be there. So after that we explain. So you can have either for your second point, you can either write your E1, or you can either write your point for E2 or your E3 to get your 3 points. Okay, kalau ada 4 point tak menjadi masalah. Kalau kamu tahu 4 point, tulis sahaja. If you know all the 4 points, please write down the 4 points, because 1 point which you have written might be wrong. It does not matter, nothing will be deducted from there. You will be given marks for your other points. Alright, okay, let's carry on some more. Okay, in in Malay, semakin besar nisbah JLP per I, semakin tinggi kadar resapan. Why? We explain kenapa. Sebab saiz agar berkurang ataupun jarak dari permukaan ke pusat cube menjadi semakin pendek, ataupun kita boleh katakan kadar pencairan asid hidroklorik menjadi rendah dan masa yang diambil untuk cube agar menjadi tak berwarna lebih pendek, ataupun masa yang diambil untuk molekul asid hidroklorik meresap tu adalah lebih cepat. Okay, alright. Okay, and this is the last question we are going to discuss today, that is transpiration. So this is a question on transpiration. This is also a past year SPM question. In this experiment, you want to study the effect of relative humidity on the rate of transpiration of balsam plant. So here you see they're using balsam plant. So mereka menggunakan pokok kembung dan nak mengkaji kadar transpirasi. Macam mana kadar transpirasinya bila kelembapan relatifnya adalah berbeza. So menggunakan potometer, kalau kita lihat di sini kita boleh baca menggunakan pokok kembung, they've used a balsam plant, and then they have washed the roots and they put it into a conical flask filled with distilled water, and they put a few drops of paraffin oil on the surface of the distilled water. You record the initial mass of the potometer, can see here, and then cover it with a transparent bag, cover it so that the water will not come out. And then what happens is that, okay, the next step, what we do is that the balsam plant is placed under sunlight for 30 minutes. Okay, after 30 minutes, the transparent polythene bag was removed, and then you're supposed to check the final mass of the potometer. So actually what we would see is that because of transpiration which has happened, what would have happened is that once the transpiration occurs, the water molecules which have come out from the leaves would actually be on the transparent polythene bag. Okay, so later we repeat this experiment by placing the anhydrous calcium chloride. This is to absorb water with different mass, which is 50 gram or 100 gram, into the transparent polythene bag. Okay, and finally this is what you're going to get. This is what you're going to fill up, this table. This is your OMV, mass of anhydrous calcium chloride, and this is the mass of potometer. This is your responding variable. Okay, so for your operational definition, transpiration is the loss of water from the balsam plant. It's very simple. What is transpiration? Loss of water. Okay, loss of water from where? You have to be very specific. In this experiment, they're using balsam plant, so we say it's balsam plant. It is determined by the change in the mass of potometer in 30 minutes. Okay, and transpiration is affected by humidity or the mass of anhydrous calcium chloride. Right? Transpirasi ialah kehilangan air daripada pokok kembung yang ditentukan oleh perubahan jisim potometer dalam masa 30 minit, dan transpirasi dipengaruhi oleh kelembapan udara. Okay, the relationship question here again. So if you see here, relationship question, what are they asking you to mention in this relationship question? So this is a 2016 question, and in this question they did not ask you for kelembapan, they did not ask you for humidity, but they asked you to mention the relationship between the mass of anhydrous calcium chloride, so we circle that, and the rate of transpiration. So dalam ayat pertama, in your first sentence, you must have these two words. Of course, when we're talking about anhydrous calcium chloride, it is going to absorb the water, so we can relate it to humidity, but in this question they did not ask you for humidity, so do not use the word humidity for your relationship statement. So here we say the higher the mass of anhydrous calcium chloride, the higher the rate of transpiration. Why? We explain. Because air humidity decreases. Why does air humidity decreases? Or you can say anhydrous chloride absorbs water vapor, and more water is absorbed by the roots, or more water is lost to the surroundings. Okay, so in Malay we can say semakin bertambah jisim kalsium klorida kuntang, semakin bertambah kadar transpirasi, dan poin dia adalah kelembapan udara adalah rendah dan lebih banyak air diserap oleh akar. Okay, alright, so I think that's all for my video today. Hopefully you have understood, and if you found my video informative and useful to answer paper 3, please do not forget to like, share and subscribe to my channel. Thank you, and all the best for your SPM biology. Thank you, bye.